الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الحمد لله الذي غمر العباد بلطائفه وعمر قلوبهم بأنوار الدين ووظائفه فسبحانه ما أعظم شأنه وأقوى سلطانه وأتم لطفه وعم إحسانه ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله الذي أفاض على النفوس وذوارف عوارفه وأبرز على القرائه حقائق معارفه صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه مفاتيح الهدى ومصابيح الدجى وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد فقد قال الله تعالى في كتاب العزيز بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وكلا نقص عليك من أنباء الرسل ما نثبت به فؤادك وجاءك في هذه الحق وموعظة وذكرى للمؤمنين صدق الله العظيم وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في حديث الكيس من دان نفسه وعمل لما بعد الموت. As humans, we have fluctuations of emotions. Each and every single human being. We have fluctuations of emotions. As believers, as people who believe in Allah, as people who believe in the finality of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, at times our spirituality will peak. Our spirituality will peak. And at times there will be a decline and drop in our spirituality. In today's address, we hope to focus on how we can assist one another to sustain spirituality. That the companions, it was their sunnah, it was their habit, that they would sustain, they would help and aid one another when it came to their spirituality. So the way they would do it is that they would recite Surah Al-Asr. This was one method, that they would recite Surah Al-Asr. وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. This is a very powerful surah. Imam Shafi rahimahullah, he said that if people were to reflect on Surah Al-Asr and the meaning of Surah Al-Asr, it would suffice them. So this surah, it carries great depth, great meaning, and it gives the benefit of keeping our spirituality with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala maintained. Sometimes it is the blessed month of Ramadan that rejuvenates our spirituality. Sometimes it is the blessed month of Ramadan that rejuvenates our spirituality. Sometimes it may be a discourse of a particular scholar. Sometimes it's the sudden demise of a particular and a very specific individual that propels us to reflect on our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That propels us to try to capture that spirituality so that we can connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The verse that I recited, this is from the 12th juz. This verse is from the 12th juz and it's verse number 120. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this verse, is addressing the Prophet ﷺ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that, O Muhammad, we narrate to you the tales, the anecdotes, the episodes of the narratives of the prophets that came before you, that preceded you. Why? So that your heart, it achieves comfort. Your heart, it achieves strength. وَكُلًّا نَقُصُّ عَلَيْكَ مِنْ أَنْبَاءِ الرُّسُلِ مَا نُثَبِّتُ بِهِ فُؤَادَكَ وَجَاءَكَ فِي هَذِي الْحَقِّ. To maintain our spirituality. Not only did the Quran, it provided comfort, it provided solace to the Prophet, but it also serves as a reminder and advice for the Muslims that this is what we need to do to become successful in this world. And this is what we need to do to achieve, to receive eternal happiness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to receive the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the hereafter. By virtue of the Quran, our spiritual reserves will be brimming. That if we truly read the Quran with this desire, with shawq, then our spiritual reserves will be brimming. One of the pious predecessors, he said, لَمْ أَرَى خَلِيلًا يَرْفَعُ قَدْرَ خَلِيلِهِ كَالْقُرْآنِ فَطُوبَى لِمَنِ اتَّخَذَ الْقُرْآنَ خَلِيلًا. That I have never seen any friend that raises the status of his friend like the Quran. There is nothing like the Quran that raises the status of an individual. فَطُوبَى, glad tidings for the one لِمَنِ اتَّخَذَ الْقُرْآنَ خَلِيلًا, who has taken the Quran as his friend. That when a person is connected to the Quran, when a person has that desire to read the Quran, to understand the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then such a person will achieve success beyond any measure in this world and success in the hereafter. Instead of, as Muslims, instead of wasting our time on streaming content online, other mundane activities, we have to give time on reflecting on what the Quran is trying to tell us, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to tell me and you. This is the friend that will come to our aid when it matters most. The Quran is our friend that will come to our aid when things matter most, and that is the day of Qiyamah. That is the day of Qiyamah. This is the day that matters. On that day, if we are successful and we receive the book of deeds in our right hands, and we have the Quran as our intercessor, then we have nothing to worry about. We have no anxieties on the day of Qiyamah. We have nothing to be concerned about on the day of Qiyamah if we have the Quran interceding for us. If we took the Quran as a friend, as a mentor, as a guide in this world. Now, about the verse that I recited, the scholars, they mention, the scholars of tafsir, about this verse they say, دَلَّ عَلَىٰ أَنَّ لِقِصَصِ الْمَقْبُولِينَ تَأْثِيرَةٌ فِي الْقُلُوبِ تَثْبِيتًا وَتَقْوِيَةً وَتَنْشِيطًا. That this ayah in the 12th juz, verse number 120, وَكُلًّا نَقُصُّ عَلَيْكَ مِنْ أَنْبَاءِ الرُّسُلِ مَا نُثَبِّتُ بِهِ فُؤَادَكَ وَجَاءَكَ فِي هَذِهِ الْحَقِّ وَمَوْعِظَةً وَذِكْرَى لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. So the scholars of tafsir, they mention that this ayah is an indication. This ayah is an indication that the stories of the past, of those people who were accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is an effect. Their stories have an effect, a profound effect on the heart. What they do is that they aid the heart, they strengthen the heart, and they rejuvenate one's spirituality. This verse, it impresses upon us the fact that the narratives and the tales of the pious, it provides a positive impact on the heart of a person. This is what the Quran does. That when we read the Quran with this desire, with shawq, that yes, I truly want to understand what my responsibilities are in this world, then that Quran will be a source of guidance for that person. Otherwise, if a person is disinterested, this person is unfocused, this Quran will be nothing but a burden for him on the day of Qiyamah. So this verse is an actual basis of why classical scholars, they devoted entire works on pious predecessors. That why did our pious predecessors, they wrote about people of the past, nations of the past. What was the reason? So the reason was this particular verse. That because tales of the pious, anecdotes of the pious, it provides that impetus, it provides that motivation that if they can do it, we can also do it. We can also achieve the heights that they achieved in this world. So what we need to do is that how can we keep our spirituality active? Read the stories of the scholars of hadith. Keep a book. Keep a book by our bedside. We need to read the stories of the pious predecessors, the scholars of hadith. Read their painstaking efforts when it came to compiling hadith. Look at the journeys of Imam Bukhari rahimahullah. Imam Bukhari was from Uzbekistan. But how many areas did he travel to listen to one hadith? How many areas did he travel to listen to one hadith? Because of his efforts, Imam Firabri, one of the main transmitters of Bukhari, Imam Firabri was the main transmitter of Bukhari. He would say there was approximately 90,000 students who heard Imam Bukhari's compilation. 90,000 students. Imam Firabri, who is the main transmitter of Imam Bukhari's Sahih. It's known as Imam Bukhari's Sahih. But the correct name for Sahih al-Bukhari is Al-Jami al-Musnad al-Sahih. This is the correct title for Imam Bukhari's compilation. Otherwise we know it as Sahih al-Bukhari. So Imam Firabri was the primary transmitter of Bukhari's authentic compilation. So he's on record where he says that 90,000 students heard Bukhari from Imam Bukhari himself. Now how did he achieve this? First and foremost, this is the man who single-handedly, just for one hadith, he would travel to far away distances just to listen to that one hadith. And at times he was unsuccessful. This was the man that to preserve his integrity, he threw a bag of gold coins over the ship. The story goes, Imam Bukhari rahimahullah, he was on a ship and he had a traveling companion. So the traveling companion somehow finds out that Imam Bukhari rahimahullah, he's in the possession of 1,000 gold coins. This is an authentic story. This comes under the manaqib of Imam Bukhari. So he's on this ship and this friend of Imam Bukhari makes some clamor and noise that I have lost 1,000 gold coins, the exact amount that Imam Bukhari rahimahullah has in his possession. So what happens? Imam Bukhari, he takes those gold coins and he throws them away. He throws those gold coins away. Now the entire ship, all of the people on the ship, they're accused. So obviously their belongings are going to be checked. When finally they come to Imam Bukhari, nothing is on his possession. So that person asks him that I knew that you had money. What happened to it? Imam Bukhari rahimahullah said, I threw it over. I'm not going to sacrifice my integrity. I'm not going to sacrifice the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ for some gold coins, for a paltry sum. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to protect the sanctity of the traditions of Rasulullah ﷺ. This was Imam Bukhari rahimahullah. This was how much he cared about transmitting the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. And this is the way to maintain spirituality. This is just one method of maintaining spirituality. If we read through Bukhari, we will see that Bukhari is nothing but spirituality. In Egypt, medieval Egypt, there were actual khatams of Bukhari's compilation. Why? Whenever there was any kind of difficulty, the Salatin of Egypt, this was during the Mamluk era, they would recite Bukhari from beginning to end. They would do khatam of Bukhari so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removes that affliction. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removes that affliction. This is how this book has been accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That people, they would recite Bukhari so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removes afflictions. And this is in medieval Egypt during the Mamluk era where they would do this. They would make a practice of it, that whenever there was any issue, whenever there was any problem, they would resort to reading and completing Sahih al-Bukhari. It's divided into 30 chapters. Bukhari is divided into 30 chapters, just as the Quran is divided into 30 chapters. Bukhari too is divided into 30 chapters. And when we read through Bukhari, you will see that it's brimming with spirituality. This is just one method. Imam Bukhari connected himself to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ to maintain his spirituality. This is what he did to maintain that spirituality. If we want to maintain our spirituality, then we need to do something that connects us. We need to do something that connects us to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At least read the impeccable seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Read the impeccable seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to maintain our spirituality. So the verse that I recited, most certainly, it tells us that the tales of the pious, they have an impact on the heart. If we read the stories of Imam Bukhari, Imam Muslim, Imam Nasa'i, Imam Tirmidhi, Abu Dawood, Ibn Majah, Bayhaqi, if we read their painstaking efforts when it came to compiling hadith, Hakim, we will come to the conclusion that they have done something that we cannot do in multiple lifetimes. We can't do what they did in multiple lifetimes, even though in those days to make a cup of tea, to make a simple cup of tea, it would take them an hour. We have the benefit of a stove, of a microwave, where we can make instant tea, instant coffee. And yet, we're always pressed for time. I don't have time. I don't have time to read the seerah. I don't have time to read Bukhari. I don't have time to connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As long as I'm doing 5 times salat, this is enough. And that too at home. So I can't make time to come to the masjid because I'm busy throughout the entire day. Well, these people too, they were busy. They also had to earn. They also had families. So how did they survive? How did they live? It's because their focus was on the akhirah. Their focus was on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is why they always did, or they found something to maintain that spirituality. So if we want the Quran to invigorate us, to energize us, to give us positive stimulation, then we need to connect with the Quran with our complete heart, complete desire. In Riyadh al-Salihin, Imam Nawawi rahimahullah devoted an entire chapter towards the importance, and this is what? For maintaining our spirituality. So he devoted an entire chapter on the importance of visiting, interacting, sitting with the people of spirituality, the people of khayr. Babu ziyarati ahli al-khayr. This is the chapter of visitation of the people of khayr, the people of virtue. Wa mujalasatihim, to sitting with them. Wa sahbatihim, to interact with them. Wa mahabbatihim, to have love for them. Imam Nawawi rahimahullah, an accepted scholar, unanimously accepted by the ummah. His Riyadh al-Salihin is a book that is unanimously accepted by each and every single Muslim throughout the world. You'll find Riyadh al-Salihin in every single masjid. This is a man who devoted he never got married. He was from the ulama al-uzzab. He never got married. He passed away when he was 43 years old. And when you read his seerah, when you read his biography by one of his students, Ibn al-Attar, his name was. He accomplished something like these were people that